Hi everyone, my name's Dakota. I'm a second year at USD studying engineering with a focus in business. And I'm from Los Angeles, California, and some things I'm involved with on campus are Torero tour guides, student ambassadors, and Alpha Delta Pi sorority. We're so excited to have you here today to just talk about a very important topic when it comes to choosing your college, and that's sense of belonging and the first year experience. Now, this first year experience at USD this year was definitely not as planned due to COVID-19. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce some fellow students we're featuring to just answer some of your important questions about how the first year experience might have felt for you. And yeah, all of that. So Megan, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, so I'm Megan. I'm a first year. I am planning to major in bio on the pre-med track, and I'm from Coventry, Connecticut. So I am involved in the Torero ambassadors on campus, and I just joined the same as Dakota, the sorority Alpha Delta Pi.
And then Parker.
Hi, I'm Parker Tweedley. I'm a current first year on campus. I'm a double major in marketing and finance and a minor in management. I'm currently part of Phi Chi Theta, the business fraternity, and Torero ambassadors. And I'm originally from Los Angeles.
Nice. And Ryan.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm planning on majoring in behavioral neuroscience on the pre-med track. I'm from Thousand Oaks, California. I'm a first year. And some things I'm involved in are Torero ambassadors and Beta Theta Pi social fraternity.
Nice. We all have a lot of things in common. So just to get right into it, I know I was very nervous transitioning into college. I had no idea what to expect when it came to leaving home and all of that. And also, like, I'm sure a lot of us are curious about how that even went down with COVID. Do you guys want to give a little bit about your transitions into college and maybe what USD did to make you feel a little less nervous? Parker, we could start with you.
Yeah, so the transition to USD was actually really easy for me. Coming from a small school with a high school vibe, I was really able to come to USD knowing that I would be able to create a good family. I was able to meet with my scholastic assistant with a small group and actually really get a good feel of who I was going to be with when I came in for semester. We were able to meet a couple times every week leading up to the first day we were actually able to come on campus. And we were able to do fun games, little breakout rooms and icebreakers, and really just get to know everyone. And that leading up to coming to USD really was helpful because I really got to understand what everything would be going on at USD. Plus, I got to learn a lot about my peers coming into the class.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you who might not know, a scholastic assistant, everyone is assigned to one at the beginning of your first year. And basically throughout your first year, they're there as a mentor or anyone to, like, any question you might have regarding academics or anything. I'm still really close with my scholastic assistant and I still text her about classes and stuff. So honestly, it becomes like your mentor throughout your entire 4 years at USD. So that's great that you had that experience. Parker, what about you, Megan?
So for me, I would say I was super nervous because I'm from Connecticut. So I was just nervous making the transition from Connecticut all the way to California. But I would say the biggest support for me was the Torero ambassadors have an out-of-state ambassador program where they'll take someone who's from your state and then they'll reach out to you and kind of create a group of people, like other students, other first year students from your same state. So I would say that was like the biggest part that like made me feel comfortable. And even to this day, I still talk to my out of state ambassador. When I arrived in San Diego, she was, checking in on us and making sure we were okay, and just like asking us about like classes and how things were going. And for the people who were in San Diego when we first got to campus, she was like asking if we needed anything or needed to, run to Target, things like that. Just like the little things that I could like tell that even students who are 1 year older than me could really they really care.
Definitely. I feel that. And even without COVID, Student Ambassadors was the first club that I joined on campus. And that really paved the way to everything else that I've really gotten involved in. Like right now, I have an internship with undergraduate admissions, which basically the ambassadors do work with undergraduate admissions just to connect with other students, like prospective students, and just give them that attention and answer those questions about USD that we were all wondering before we decided to come to USD. So that's amazing that you had that experience with ambassadors, because even pre-COVID, I definitely had that same connection with student ambassadors. And I didn't know anyone from my high school besides one girl who was actually studying abroad when I was coming to USD. So I definitely relied on student ambassadors to just answer all of my questions. And now being able to be on the other end, it's really fun and honestly like a full circle moment. So yeah, it's really awesome. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, for me, something that I was kind of worried about was kind of just going to a place where I didn't know anyone. And, like we all have our friends from high school and stuff, but when you're going to college, it's a lot different. And something that USD really did that was helpful was they arranged like a USD class of 2024 Facebook group and like an Instagram page. So we were kind of able to see everyone who was kind of committing to USD in our grade. And also in that Facebook group, we were able to meet friends, like kind of create group chats, so that when we came to campus, we see familiar faces at the dining hall, just walking around. It wasn't like a shock when you're thrown into campus. So that was really helpful on USD's part. And also, I think Torero ambassadors and USD kind of partnered together to arrange like some like virtual social events kind of during the summer, before leading up to the school year. So that was really helpful because then you got to like know people in your classes, and that was just like a benefit to kind of starting with a whole new setting of people.
Definitely. Were those social events like besides Ole weekend? Was there anything else?
Yeah, so I think it was the couple weeks like leading up to the first day of school. They kind of had like a weekly. It was like a social event. I don't remember many details about it, but I remember it was like the card game where you would like join, and then you got to like be paired with an individual, and it was like a kind of guessing game. So that was
Yeah.
kind of fun, bringing out like it was a lot of people showed up too, so it's kind of cool to just kind of see some new faces.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely think USC does a great job of that. My first year, like going into it, we had a send-off event. So we got to meet all of the Toreros in our area and just kind of get to talk with them. A lot of them were upperclassmen, so we got to hear about a lot of cool experiences that they had that I would have not have known about like without talking to them. So yeah, I definitely agree that those events are really, really helpful. And I actually lived in Founders with two of the girls who I happened to see at the event. So that was really cool. So we talked about the transition coming to USD, but when you first came to campus, what were your initial thoughts and feelings? Like, what was the vibe? And we could start with Ryan because we did you last.
Yeah. I mean, definitely coming to the campus, it was kind of surreal, especially during COVID, everything's kind of unpredictable out in the air. But USD did a really good job at kind of making that transition a lot easier for us. Kind of with move-in day, there's always a reference point, always someone to help us out, trying to just make that transition smooth for us, and also like our family members who are helping us move in. And definitely that move-in day was honestly easier than I thought. And I think that's true for a lot of people. We kind of had these bigger expectations for what it was going to go like, but it was very smooth. And coming to campus, leaving home for the first time, especially during a pandemic, it can be a little scary sometimes, but they kind of created a community here at USD where we all felt safe, and we kind of were able to kind of just start our college experience in a different format. So I think that transition was really smooth in the fall.
Nice. What about for you, Parker?
Yeah, well, I come from Los Angeles, so I actually just had to drive up to San Diego, and that was fun. It wasn't too long, and I'd come, and we all had individual time slots that actually spread us out, so we weren't too close to everyone because of COVID to get into our rooms. When I look around my campus, I'm actually absolutely in awe because you just see our campus, how beautiful it is. We're ranked in the nation for how beautiful our campus is. So that was awesome. I was able to walk to the SLP, the Student Life Pavilion, on the first day with my family and just go eat some food. And another thing we're ranked in is our food. But it was really good. And I got to spend some time with my family walking around campus. And everything is just very well put together, very neat. I got to see some students walking around campus, and I just felt like as much as we are in the pandemic, I still was able to receive a college experience with being on campus, seeing students around. It's kind of, you just forget about the mask there. It's just you're there, you're in college.
Totally. What about for you, Megan?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Parker and Ryan have said. I was definitely nervous at first, especially with COVID. But I would say like everyone, the first thing I noticed, everyone was so welcoming, staff, students, like everyone just was happy to be there, and it made me happy to be there. Um, and I guess it was also nice, like what Parker was saying, the move-in times. Um, so it kind of like my roommate got to move in, and then there was space between, and then I got to move in, and then we walked up to SLP, and it was just nice being able to like sit down, eat with my family, eat with my roommates, and even the first day I was there, just meeting new people. Like people would just come up to me in the student life pavilion where we were eating, and just start conversations about anything. And I feel like it's just such a like friendly community, and that's one of the things I love about USD.
Definitely. I can so relate to the SLP thing. Even on a normal day, like I'll be FaceTiming my sister walking to the SLP because I had such a weird schedule and I couldn't like go eat with someone. And then I'd go through the like get my food and go, and there's so many of my friends just sitting there and they're like, "Hey, come sit with us," or something like that. And even if I wasn't like close friends with them, if they'd see me and I was just like alone, they would tell me to tag along and I'd be like, "Sorry, sister, gotta go." Like, so yeah, it's definitely, I think the SLP is one of the first places that I really like met a lot of people, and it was very like random. Like, I don't know, I wasn't expecting it at first, but yeah, highly recommend going to eat dinner at the SLP because yeah, that was definitely a fun experience. I miss it a lot. So I know you guys said that there were like different events when you first came into campus, but when you were actually on campus and besides the events, how did you guys meet people? Just like around your apartment or like dorm room? How did that work? And we could start with Megan.
So for me, at first, my RA would plan like socials and things where the whole so our RA lives on the floor, and she has a certain number of students. I don't know how many, but she would plan socials where all the students that she had would get together and kind of meet each other. So those things were nice, definitely. But what I would say the best thing for me was the in-person, just being on campus. Once I was there, I would just meet people, like Dakota was saying, kind of like randomly, or just I would see familiar faces from class or just from talking to people in the summer. Like at SLP, everyone would sit on the steps, and then I would just randomly start talking to someone. And now some of those people I still talk to today. So I would say that was the best way of meeting people. It's just like more of the spontaneous conversations.
Definitely. I feel like everyone at USD is so friendly based off my experience that like it's never awkward to just be like, "Hi, my name's Dakota." And then like you instantly become friends. Like even I know a lot of people like stereotypically might think that only happens within your first few weeks because everyone's looking for friends, but honestly, like it's always like that. Like I became friends with juniors and seniors by doing the exact same thing. So yeah. But Parker, what about you?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I swear no one is nervous at USD. Everyone loves to make friends. Everyone always approaches people just to talk and just merge with ideas and all of that. But to be specific, I play soccer and volleyball. I hope to play on the club teams here. And honestly, I would go down to the soccer field almost every day, go just bring my stuff just to play on my own. And there would be other people down there, and it would be fun because they always wanted to come play with me. And I'd obviously say yes. I'd become friends with them, and then we'd start returning back to the soccer fields often. And it's really accessible just to walk right down to the field. Plus, with volleyball, I would go down to the beach area, go play on the beach volleyball nets, and I was able to meet some of the club guys. I was able to meet people in general that are from USD. So honestly, sports have definitely helped me make friends here. And it's all, obviously it brings me to more people who are like sports minded and like people who are like me. So that's really cool.
Cool. And then what about you, Ryan?
Yeah, for me, I'm similar to Megan, but definitely the people that you meet virtually and then seeing them in person is like a whole different thing. Like, especially at the SLP, I think that's the biggest spot for meeting people because you're sitting there, people will walk by, they'll be sitting with other people, and you kind of just get to see those people you've seen through a screen so far. And that's really cool because you can spark up conversations. And then, like Megan said, you can be friends with them like to this day. So for me, it's definitely the dining hall and kind of just walking around campus to like the learning commons and just passing by people. That's been the biggest part of kind of meeting new people on campus.
Definitely. That's awesome. And one thing I forgot to clarify for those of you who don't know, because Megan mentioned her RA, that's a residential assistant. And basically, she, like Megan said, she just lives very close to you. And she's there for any problems you might have with living, roommates, another just mentor. I asked her a lot of questions besides all of that, but just there for you to ask any questions you might have. USD has a lot of that like mentor or assistant type of figure for first years, just so that you definitely have someone if you need to go to them. And so besides your RA and your essay that we mentioned earlier, we also have the Alcala Bazaar, which is a huge club rush at the beginning of each semester. So can you guys explain how did the Alcala Bazaar work this year? And then also, like, did you join any clubs or organizations or anything like that? And we can start with Parker.
Yeah, honestly, Alcala Bazaar was really cool. I hadn't heard about it prior to getting an email, and it was very organized. I think that was one of the key aspects that really sparked my mind. It was set up where they would put a club's name in numerous different breakout rooms, and once you went into the main lobby, they would send you to an individual breakout room with that club. And honestly, it was awesome. All the members of the club would be sitting there. They'd each have their own individual presentations to inform you about the clubs. That is actually where I learned about my business fraternity, Phi Chi Theta, and it ended up having me join that. I learned about the sales club, which I'm in the midst of trying to join right now. And honestly, I think they did really well, and I think they actually grabbed a huge audience into it.
Nice. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, for me, definitely Alcala Bazaar was a big part of getting me involved. I went to the first one back in the fall, and that's how I got involved with USD Club Swim. And Club Swim's kind of cool. I mean, right now, because of COVID, not much can happen, but we're still able to reserve some lanes and kind of go in smaller groups. And of course, we're socially distanced at the pool, but still kind of having that aspect of working out like as a group is very beneficial. So that was something cool that I was able to join. And in addition to that, with my social fraternity and Greek life, I never really thought I would do Greek life in college. But it wasn't until I went to the Alcala Bazaar that I actually got to meet some of the guys in the fraternities, and that's what led me to rush a fraternity this semester and join Beta Theta Pi. So definitely, the Alcala Bazaar is kind of like an eye-opening experience for you to really put yourself out there and meet and visit all the different organizations on campus. So I think the youth school did a really good job at doing that in a virtual format, and you're still able to have those conversations and talk to people individually, even if it was over Zoom.
Definitely. What about you, Megan?
So for me, when I first came into college, I feel like I had a mindset. I was like, I play tennis. So I was like, I'll join tennis, maybe a sorority. But I feel like the Alcala Bazaar is so important to like just go to things that you might not have interest in, but just to learn about them. Because for me, they have the Alcala Bazaar in the fall and in the spring. And I just recently went again in the spring. And I went to so many, like I talked to so many groups, even if I was like, what, like I read the name and I don't know what it is. There was one group in particular about pancakes. They make pancakes for the homeless on Saturday morning, and just things like that. Just even if you don't come out of it interested, just I feel like it's important to, you know, hear about new clubs, and maybe you would find an interest in something that you never even knew about. So that was something that kind of surprised me, I would say.
Definitely. I feel that. And I really want to join that club. Even though I'm part of so many things on campus already, I feel like there's always something at the Alcala Bazaar that I've never heard of before and that I want to join every semester that I go. And also, like on a normal day, the Alcala Bazaar is also really nice for free food. Like you go, and when you're joining all of those things, like they're like free pizza, free cookies, free donuts. And that's what everyone always loves about it too. Like you just go from one to the next and yeah, it's amazing. Okay, but okay, so you guys said you joined these clubs and stuff, but what specifically have they been doing virtually for those who like, in case we cannot be on campus next semester, like what kind of virtual events have you been able to do? And we could start with Ryan.
Yeah, definitely for my fraternity that I'm a part of, it's definitely weird kind of being on a virtual format when you're doing Greek life. I mean, it's as much as of an experience you can get, and I think they've done a really good job at kind of enhancing that to the best it can be. We do a lot of like group activities and kind of just like game nights on Zoom, just like they call them brotherhood events. And I think that's really been beneficial, and also meeting all the people in the fraternity, that's something that's really helpful. So then when we do have the chance to go back in person, you know who those people are. So I think, at least for me, my fraternity's done an awesome job at, and they have it planned for the rest of the semester on how we're going to kind of just meet everyone and kind of build those brotherhood and kind of just relationships within the organization. So personally, they've done a great job with that. And also with my club swim, they plan like game nights each week. Kind of just staying connected is a big part of like being in an organization. So I think all the organizations on campus do a really good job at keeping students connected and engaged, which at this point is the best thing that we can do, trying to just make our way out of this pandemic. And I think it's been very beneficial, and it's something to look forward to when we do get the chance to go in person.
Definitely. What about for you, Megan?
I would say similar to Ryan with my sorority, they've done multiple events in Dakota. You could probably and
Yeah.
talk to this too. Just so at first I was nervous because, joining a sorority virtually, what does that mean? But they've definitely exceeded my expectations. Like we've done multiple events and they're casual, not mandatory events where you can just, come and watch The Bachelor or a craft night or, the self-care night, just things that you can, on a more casual level, just get to know the other people in the sorority. And another thing that they've done is, so we get a big sister in the sorority, and we did for Alpha Delta Pi, they're called diamond dates. So you would just, I feel like you would like meet older women in the sorority, and that was probably the best part for me, just getting to like talk one-on-one with people who at first I was kind of intimidated by, especially because they're like older members, but it just made me feel like a sense of belonging, especially, getting to talk to people who I just saw through a virtual screen, but actually like one-on-one was great. And then for the Alcala or for the ambassadors, um, I would say they've done a lot too. That's more of a formal basis kind of. So I'm trying to become an out-of-state ambassador. So we'll meet and on like small groups, I'll meet with my like out-of-state ambassador who I have now, and just kind of learn the ropes and get to know other people who are trying to become the same thing. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely, Megan and I were actually buddies for the first day when she joined our sorority. So yeah, it's been super fun. And there's just so much that you could do virtually. And we've been doing it since last year, like so many self-care nights, or like we played Among Us. Yeah, they really get creative with that, and it's super fun. What about you, Parker?
Yeah, to tag along with the fraternity sorority gist, I was part of a business fraternity, and honestly, that's been such a life-changing experience. I've been able to meet a lot of members through the fraternity, and honestly, like we still get, as much as it's not an experience in person, we still get to learn about resume building, interviews, all the different aspects of being a professional businessman and or woman, and it's honestly really fun. And I've gone to learn a lot about like my peers who are upperclassmen especially, and they've actually been able to offer a lot of insight on their experiences. So I was able to understand what it is like in person, but they are doing an extremely good job of doing it online. and continuing. I'm doing trying to be in sales club, and they do meetings every week where they just show off. They show really cool videos that are really informative. We do little games, so that's really cool. And lastly, my sports clubs that I'm attempting to join. There's not much to do right now since the D1 sports have priority, but we are able to meet on Zoom sometimes just to go over what's going to be happening. So they like to keep us engaged and want us to keep us happy about joining the sport. So honestly, I'm having an awesome time.
Nice. Okay, so last question, just to wrap things up, how have your classes been? What have your professors done to just make effort to make your experience like great at USD? And like, do you get to meet with your classmates? How does that work? We can start with Megan.
So for me, my classes have been going pretty well. I was nervous coming onto just Zoom classes, but professors are very understanding. I mean, it's new for them too. They just started this whole Zoom university, but I would say that they definitely try to like have students meet each other through breakout rooms. And I would say the best thing that's happened so far is when you're in a breakout room and you exchange numbers and then you create like those bonds between students and like group chats where you can help each other with homework or help each other study. So teachers are definitely, I think what makes USD like what helps USD with this is that the classes are smaller than most universities. So you get that one-on-one with professors. And for me, I have all my professors, I've had like one-on-one conversations with them. You know, a lot of them when I come into class, they'll be like, "Oh, hi Megan, how are you today?" You know, it's very personal, and I feel like that's important to me, and that's one of the reasons why I picked USD. So even through the virtual aspect of school right now, USD has done a great job at making me feel welcome, and you know, I'm not just a number. I'm actually like important in the class.
Definitely. I can totally relate to every single bit of that. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I was definitely nervous, and I feel like Megan can relate to this too, especially with the pre-med track and kind of the expectation for what virtual classes were going to be like in these STEM classes. And I was definitely nervous. I didn't know what to expect, what I was kind of putting myself into. But definitely, it was not what I expected. It was so much better than I expected. And I really think it contributes to that smaller class size and the more personalized education that we're able to receive here at USD. And that is so beneficial because in class, you can actually just raise your hand and ask a question. It's kind of like similar to your high school classes because they're smaller, but it's definitely a different format. You know, you're able to reach out to the professor individually, go to office hours and actually be able to talk to them. And that's just been so beneficial to me because it really allows you to stay on top of things and kind of stay on track. And that's super important, especially in college, because all of your classes really matter towards your degree. And having that small class size is just like, I think the biggest class I've had is like 30. So that's been really beneficial this semester and last semester, kind of just forming those connections with your professors, those relationships. So they actually know who you are in the class and you get to learn a lot about them. And I think that's really beneficial when it comes to your career and kind of just seeing how your professors work and how they kind of just build your class and create that connection. So that's been very beneficial for me, is definitely the personalized education aspect of it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely 100%. What about you, Parker?
Yeah, I came to the school for a big reason for the class size and teacher connection. I really wanted to have a personal connection with my teacher to be able to raise my hand in class and ask a question to intervene on his lecture without there being 100 other students that would have to stop. So yeah, like Ryan was saying, I've probably had a max size of 30 people in a class. And honestly, it's really cool. My teachers have even asked us to set up group chats throughout the class. They would like give it time for us to everyone get their Snapchats or phone numbers to do that. And I think that's really cool. They want us to merge as a class and create a bond. And I can't really follow these pre-med kids track, but as a business major, I've gotten to take some pretty cool classes as my first year, especially ITMG's info systems class. And now I can personally say I'm certified in Excel for taking a certification exam through the class. So there's a lot of cool classes, a lot of really informative classes here. And I know I'm going to be learning a lot. And so far, even with the Zoom protocol, I feel that I'm still able to be engaged with my teacher, constantly trying to get us on camera, trying to keep us engaged with different different types of lectures. It's not just talking, it's videos, it's different collaborative ideas. So I'm having a really good time and I honestly love it.
Definitely. Same here. Well, thank you all so much for doing this. I'm sure all the future students are going to be really grateful to hear all this stuff. But to the future students, if you have any further questions, please comment them below. We can do another series like this where we have these lovely first-year students come and answer all the questions you might have. I certainly had all those questions too. So please don't hesitate to comment below. And thank you so much. Thank you, all three of you. And have a nice day, everyone.